Good evening, this is the meeting of the Hampden Board of Selectmen and Board of Health being held in the Townhouse on August 12, 2024. This meeting is being conducted in person and remotely using video conferencing technology. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is anyone recording the meeting other than ourselves?
Yep.
Kristen Rivers from the Wilbraham Hampden Times. Thank you.
And good evening.
First item on the agenda is minutes from the July 29th, 2024 meeting. And we have the order of planning board, appointment to the planning board. Senior Center Building Committee was here to discuss their progress. Town moderator was in to talk about ways we can enhance the town meeting and get more participation and have it not last as long either. Discussion about the special town meeting coming up October 29th. Transfer of the budget line items to close out the books for the year. Discussion of tie-in bonds, Thornton Burgess assessment, the fire department generator bid, and we signed a contract for representation of the cable TV agreement. And we signed some appointment slips. And we have voted to have a North Road school zone.
Motion to approve July 29th.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. An executive session of July 29th, 2024. This was a discussion of the litigation regarding Harry versus Town of Hampden and self-storage.
Right. Motion to approve without release.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I want to say about the school zone thing, Craig. I don't know if your car's like that, but mine shows the
Yeah.
thing. And it was 30, now it's changed to 20 on my dashboard. They must
Oh.
have checked that immediately.
It might, yeah, wants to go through, right?
Yeah,
Legislation.
Doesn't it read the thing? Don't you have a little camera that reads it? That's what does it.
Really, you think that, huh?
Yeah. Well, you think it's GPS?
Yeah.
Every speed sign in
It
America?
gets mapped.
Snap in. Download to your car, yeah.
Who does that? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the veterans are here for permission, to get permit for their annual fundraising event, the annual turkey shoot.
Yes, the turkey shoots.
Go ahead.
So we sent them the letter with the proposed dates. And we're just looking for approval of those dates.
Are those additional, or is there added dates for
So
last time?
the only additional date would be the weekend prior to Labor Day, the 25th of August.
I thought we had already addressed this earlier this year, so what's different from the
I thought
last
we
time
did.
somebody was here?
So my understanding is, I wasn't here the last time.
Yeah.
My understanding from last time was they asked for a blanket statement saying, you know, we should just be able to have our turkey shoots, and that's not what I wanna do. What I wanna do is propose dates and have them approved.
I don't think that's what happened. I think there was one date, I think maybe Memorial Day, that we disagreed with,
Yes.
and then we approved all the other dates at that meeting. But that was this year. So are we superseding whatever happened
No,
before?
What we used to do in the past was, before we started our turkey shoots, we would come in and have the dates approved.
Right.
For that year's turkey shoots. So this would cover the the two spring shoots we want to do and the Christmas shoot. The only other date we're adding on would be the weekend prior. We'd be starting the weekend earlier.
Okay, what I'm saying is, this happened already in March, February, somebody came in, I think it was Nick. We approved it, although I think we did say no to Memorial Day
That was
at
for,
that time. That was for this year.
yeah, but that was for the spring shoots that have already happened. These are for the spring shoots coming up next year.
I thought it
2025.
included the fall too, but okay.
That was just to include to do the spring shoots.
Hmm.
So,
We could just supersede.
All right, so you're starting earlier.
one
You're
week
starting,
after.
well, you're also adding one in August. I
That's
don't
not-
recall
That wasn't on last year's,
any year.
any year.
And it's always, you think the shoots have always started the middle of September?
No. We've always started the shoots the, Sunday after Labor Day.
So you're kind of shifting one then,
We're shifting prior to Labor Day,
right?
yes.
So you're not really adding when you're just moving into August from, okay, that's fair, that's a good point.
It's normally 1 to 5 p.m. Is that what we're reading?
Yes, they usually don't last till 5, they're usually done around 4. Usually, what happens is once we get to a point where all the lanes aren't selling out,
Yeah, shut it down.
we shut it down.
I know I ask this every single year, but there'll be supervision, so nobody with
Absolutely.
alcohol is out there shooting. Like
Absolutely, absolutely. We have,
And you post a sign on the path
Yes.
coming down as well?
yes.
Yep, we shut that down for that time frame.
And we're usually there about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
So when people do show up to hike, we tell them, listen, we start our shoots, please come down prior to 12 o'clock.
What do these shoots benefit? Just so it's
It's to raise money to help us, with helping veterans,
would you consider it successful? You have
absolutely.
Just to make it clear for anybody, Heath Joseph,
Yes.
by the way, you are the commander this
I
year.
am the post commander this year.
Congratulations, again,
Again.
right?
Yes.
And our veteran,
David Demers, senior
recently retired,
Yes.
right? Congratulations
He is
again,
the
thank you for
senior
your
vice
service.
commander
Okay,
of the post.
sure we get that question from Kristen, like, who's talking over there? So, having been around a while, I know we have neighbors that are concerned about the noise. And they've been to our meetings in years past. And there was some mitigation done with the tarp that's hung over the river. I don't know if,
That, my understanding, that tarp hasn't been put up in 4 or 5 years.
which you were down for a couple of years too, right, as well?
Right.
Yeah, so,
And
and
we.
who decided not to put the tarp up? Because that was an order of the board back in the day
Right.
in response to the neighbors.
That was beyond, that wasn't in charge of that one. I don't
Okay.
know who made that decision.
All right, but just to the board, so prior to you all, this was, if you recall, the Shankles came in with some neighbors from the Walnut as well. And to try and mitigate the noise going down, especially in the winter when the leaves are down, they were to put a tarp up to
And
block some of the.
I understand the tarp was a noise mitigation, I don't know how much that mitigates noise from a shotgun.
Where was the tarp going?
Across the walking bridge.
Right.
Like just hanging
Yeah,
below the bridge?
no, above it.
My point is, that was part of the deal,
Right.
and it was never brought up in a letter, hey, we're gonna redo them, by the way, we're taking the tarp down. So,
If you would like, if the board would like us to put the tarps back up, we will absolutely abide by the board's.
you still have it.
Do we still have the tarps?
Yeah.
But I'll go buy tarps, that's not.
Were they really mitigating that much noise? to
I
function?
did hear from a couple of neighbors, remember, the chair of the school committee lived down there as well, and he did say he felt there was some difference to it, so. You know, we all live in a neighborhood, we'd like to be,
If the board would like them back up, I have no problem purchasing tarps and putting them back up.
or finding them. Maybe they're there.
I think they're gone. We had cleaned out our sheds and I think that those were eaten by mice, so.
Hmm.
I don't see it as being a pressing issue. I don't see it being a big deterrent personally.
Well, again, it's something the board decided to do, and I mean, you don't live down there, and I don't live down there, but I have been by in times. I did drive down there when the Shankles made the point, and yes, it is a bit of a noise down there. Not so bad in September, obviously, still some leaves up there, but coming down to the end of the season, it can be a thing.
And I'll defer to the board on that one.
Motion from someone?
I'll make a motion to approve the dates requested by the VFW with the restoration of the noise mitigation tarp.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And again, thank you for your service.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you both.
I gotta go back to my.
There goes the profits. Okay,
Those extra days.
planning board clerical help,
Should have brought him back in, he just left.
planning board clerical help.
Yep, so we had one person respond to the request for help for the planning board, and that was Rose Slate. I talked with Joanne last week, and she reiterated that she could use some help. And I think even more so now that the housing bill has passed, they had the extra task of having to go through the
Right.
accessory dwelling unit bylaw, and trying to figure out what
You have a couple applications
What's
coming
left
before them as well.
with
don't
that
they?
mess. They have
Yeah.
2 in front of them now that they need to figure out how to handle with the sort of the preemption that exists in that housing bill. So,
Do you have a rate for her? What do you think?
When's the housing bill gonna go into effect?
good question.
Isn't it 90 days after passing?
I'd have to go back and,
Unless they have an emergency preamble.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and you know, what rate would she be, and you're suggesting temporary help?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of what's an equivalent position for that. Probably more than the, I don't want to see that on camera.
Either a 2-1 or a 3-1, I would think.
Yeah,
How many hours?
they asked for 4 or 5 a week for like 5 weeks.
I thought the last conversation we had that Joanne said she wasn't looking for anybody to come in. That's changed?
Yeah.
And is this person okay working only 4 or 5 hours a week, or are they looking for additional hours
Yeah,
somewhere else?
they're retired.
Sure, maybe they'd like to do some nice cemetery work?
Well, are they in addition, are they looking for like, I know water commission could use some help every now and then, nothing crazy, right? Couple hours a month maybe,
Advisory
Probably.
needs a clerk.
right?
Yeah, I haven't had that conversation with them, but if there's
Mhm.
a need, yeah, I'm sure it could be expanded.
I'd say, we talked about that utility person,
Mhm.
is this that person?
Right.
Yeah,
Coming up to a town meeting, advisory is gonna need the, spreadsheets, things like that, posting. Anybody to help with the posting, just like we talked about with the cemetery thing where they're, and master plan as well, somebody, master plan perhaps could use a clerk.
Mm.
What's going on? Just when you get enough hours, she'll have a company car and everything else to go with it,
No?
and you're like, where's mine? Electric.
Yeah,
We don't need a motion, it's leaving up
No.
to you, right, Brian?
Just FYI, isn't it?
Yeah.
okay. Cool. Good?
Wanna talk about the MVP award? That's not most valuable player.
So, Town applied for the MVP award, and it was, grant application, it was awarded. I did put the scope of work that was submitted in your packet, it's this sheet here. I mean, really, if I'm gonna sum it up, it's taking the Main Street Bridge over East Brook the rest of the way, for final permitting through Chapter 85 process, permitting through Conscom. Assisting with any right-of-way work that needs to be completed,
Water line?
and finding out where the water line is.
There is one?
We have water?
What?
And then along with any other MVP grant application, there's a educational component that is required. So that's what task 6 is. I think the consultants were struggling a little bit to try to find something to do, but they're gonna do a video documentary of the process, but it checks the box.
I want an aerial time lapse of the whole thing.
Oh, nice, keep it drawn up. Very good, yeah.
They're looking for something to do.
Yeah,
Just, and I see it goes through June of next year, and this is my concern from what we talked about before. Does this obligate us to something? Because I don't think, what I've said to the board, I don't think we're 100% sold that the bridge needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
And does this
So
force us into that?
$300,000 without a shovel on the ground, as you put it.
Before, and now we're into, I think we're close to $500,000 before this grant and what we spent in MVP. You know, we look at the East Long Meadow and Hampden one plus the secondary one. This is just, again, I don't want us get, I want to say the word's not trapped, but obligated to do something that perhaps we're not up to yet. I think we had a conversation with the highway superintendent where he did say, I think he agreed that what's deficient on the bridge can be repaired as opposed to replaced. The only reason I think they're talking about replacing the bridge is to increase the potential capacity for it to have water going underneath it. That's the only thing. In terms of travel safety on the bridge, it was the outermost beams left and right that were in need of repair. So we have two different things we're dealing with here. Public safety in terms of the bridge travel and this potential flooding that might happen like it did 100 years ago.
Can I backtrack to this total price? Is this all covered under a grant here? Is it use it or lose it, or is the grant for specific things?
The grant is specifically for this scope of work that was submitted by the consultant.
I'm looking at the task 6 for $92,000 to make a video.
Yep.
I mean,
You want to bid on that?
yeah, I'd love to bid on it, but is it necessary? I mean, it sounds like a waste.
One unique hallmark of the MVP program is that it has to have an educational component
Okay.
to it, which is one of my biggest criticisms of it.
Is that like dealing with the Conway School and all that type of thing as well?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I just don't see, looking here, it's going out till June of next year. Approximate end date, June 30th, 2025. The sense of urgency. This has been going on, now that'll be approaching 3 years,
3 years.
all of it, at least.
More than that, because it was before I came on the board.
Sure, with the first thing, yeah. So with the dual grant with East Long Meadow, I think, right. So it's,
Yes.
this is a great opportunity for consultants.
So the
Perfect for them.
so the track they have it on would be that this would finish up the 85 review. It would be fully permitted, and then my assumption would be that it would be applied for a TIP project.
And does applying for that project take us off the running for other projects? I think John's asked that in the past.
Right.
I don't think so. I don't know that we have any other TIP projects in the waiting that I've heard about.
No, the state said they were gonna make Rocket Dundee a TIP project. You know, they were pretty clear on our behalf, and we're like, what? So, and that was my concern then, if you do that, does that mean we don't get the intersection review? Do we not get the, next TIP thing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are separate pots of money, but it would be on the TIP.
Right, but I
This
mean,
would
when
be
they
bridge
look at
funding.
like, here's the list, oh, this town's never got anything, oh, Hampden just got 2, down to the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, the MPO is a pretty political body, as you probably know, so.
We're just poor country folk, Brian, we don't know that stuff.
So this doesn't obligate us to construct it at all,
That's the key part right there.
Well, that's all you had to say.
so.
Right,
But I share your criticisms of the program itself. I think there's a lot of,
no, but
money that
I
goes
see
to-
task 3, which is replacement bridge design and permitting. And if that task is completed, by virtue of it being completed, does that say, well, you've opened the door, you walked through it, you must finish the bridge replacement? That's the one task here that just, I'm concerned.
yeah, I'll double check the contract when
Okay.
it comes in, but that would be news to me if that were the case. And then, I mean, the other part is that I'm not certain that there's bridge funding for repairs. It's bridge repair funding is not as readily available as new construction funding for bridges.
Yeah.
I think it would be difficult, not impossible, maybe a MassWorks grant or something to repair the bridge, but a lot of the funding that we see is either coming through the small bridge program or, well, the small bridge comes through the state, and then the TIP would be federal funding passed through, but Those are really the two big sources
Okay.
of bridge funding at this point.
Well, then I think it'd also be maybe worthwhile asking Mark to, can you really narrow down the pricing required for repair? You know, rather than just ballparking
Yeah.
it, maybe he could engage with time bonds, DOT, somebody like that, to say what's gonna cost. All right. But we appreciate free money from the state. Although we're getting none of it. Right. Yep, thanks so much.
Okay, Thornton Burgess lease,
Yeah,
so I drafted a letter, I sent it to Happy. To send over to them, and they asked for something before the meeting, so I thought this would be enough to at least tell them what we're looking at. Brian sent over something, his thoughts, but I think what we wanna do is, that's probably part of the negotiation. First of all, I want them just to say we're willing to do this.
Yeah, the one thing, and I think I did share that, I'm concerned about some issues that are come up in the school district right now that may change their plans, but I think that's something can be fleshed out at the time of our meeting.
So this is good,
Yes,
should put it on stationery and we'll come down and sign it sometime today, tomorrow.
Today or tomorrow?
How about tomorrow?
Okay, fine, it's gonna wait that long.
Thank you.
we had that extra person working, you know, great, yeah.
And they're utility
Clarify.
person.
Yeah.
What, don't look at me. No. I'll do that.
Okay. Fall town meeting.
Good.
Moving right along here.
yeah.
It's an impressive
We had a
list
hot
there,
dinner tonight then.
it's an impressive list there, would the board, I wanted to bring this up, would the board be amenable to thinking about 6:30? There's nothing in the bylaws about the special town meeting start time. It's only the annual town meeting.
Why do you say 6:30?
Oh, we have a pretty,
7, right?
no, it's 7, right?
Isn't it earlier? Wouldn't earlier cause greater concerns for people with their supper?
I don't think 6:30 is a thing. I think, you know, we talk about them. And I know that our annual town meeting has just as many issues. But again, we get back to the fact that the first 10 of them are, thank you, thank you, thank you. Whereas the ones here are all, something are gonna engender some discussion. And I think there's a good possibility we could be out late, and I think starting a little earlier, especially we want engagement with families and possible childcare would help. I submitted to the board, we haven't posted yet, and I throw it out there, I don't think it would be a bad idea to talk about 6:30 for a start time and see how it works out. Again, I throw it out for, think about it.
Excuse me, John, can we go back to the Thornton Burgess lease? My memory is.
No, we still have to lease it at that time.
What's the status of the tie and bond thing?
So they held all the site visits, they need to go back. Apparently, they couldn't get into the generator room, but Herb said they did get in the generator. They need to go back into the generator room. And then,
Need a boiler room?
no, this is the generator room. Room with the generator in it.
Inside the building?
That's what he said, inside the building. Herb was gonna reach out to them so they could get back into that.
Right?
I didn't think it was inside the building. I thought they just had the 2 boilers in back, we had to, remember we used the rest of the Green Meadows money to
Yeah.
fix it?
I think it's on that side door that has like louvers on it.
It could be a
Yeah.
slight
Let's see.
bit.
We just saw it.
Yeah.
Went over there.
So they need to do one more follow-up visit.
The other thing is that Granby moved their town hall into, they repurposed their elementary school to be their town hall. At some point, you wanna stop a visit and just kinda see what it looks like in there,
Sure. Sounds logical.
right? And,
Okay.
at some, are we gonna need to go to town meeting for funds? Like the transition, you know, if we decide, you
At
know,
some point, sure.
Yeah, then be moving
the fall
costs.
town meeting or the spring town meeting?
I see it on number 18 right here.
Yeah, I added it late.
Yeah.
I saw that, yeah.
Possibly.
You could use the vulnerability money. But we won't have a sense of that type of money until
Yeah,
town
no,
comes
right,
back,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Okay. All right, back to the fall town meeting.
So these are no particular order at this point.
Before we get into this options, I mean, the 6:30 start time could be feasible. We have to make sure we publicize that well ahead. Just because people are gonna be used to 7.
Yeah.
And then if we consider doing childcare, we can get whoever's on board with that. So we know that's an option if we're gonna do that.
I think we reach out to, well, Girl Scouts did a thing one time, Minichog has a thing with their early childhood,
Yeah.
and they get community credits for doing it too, so.
I don't know if there's any waivers that people have to sign or any legalities to it or anything like that.
We did it at the one at the Baptist church, remember?
Yeah,
They used to,
yeah. What do we wanna do? Look into childcare? I mean, is that?
I think great, it's a
I think
great
it's a
idea.
great idea.
Yeah.
Okay. What about electronic voting?
I think that's,
I think I saw Rick the other day, he's got a couple of things he's worked out, I think it's a way to go.
You know, I'm just thinking that there's several issues on there that might be controversial that people would rather.
should we test it out in the fall town meeting? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, test it out in the fall plan.
Now, we were talking about the fact, do we get into cost? I think we should lease them, and I also talked to Rick about the fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you find 2 or 3 other towns that said, you know, we spend 10,000, we use them twice a year. We'd be happy to let you borrow them for this much money, you know, a group type purchase, when you're using them twice a year, Don.
You know,
You find towns our size, and
I don't remember the difference that Eva sent out. I have to go back and look at her numbers, but I thought the purchase wasn't much greater than a lease
no, well.
of the units.
Right, but I'm just saying in the future, you know, we get into, we go up with Munson, Wales, Holland, and,
Well, why
you know,
don't
we share them like,
Why don't we buy them and lease them to these other
could
places?
be.
You know?
But I'm just saying we find a way to mitigate our cost of it to it, yeah.
The only thing I can't figure out is how many to get.
Yeah.
For
That's-
instance, you know, if we say, okay, we normally get 200 people at a town meeting, so we order 200, and then there's some
220.
issue that 400 show up.
Right, so that's why he was also going to check and see is there's an emergency borrow, basically.
I think there
I can
was.
order 250, but I can also rent an extra 200 whenever I need it.
But how do you know that until the night?
I think you have a pretty good
Judge
sense,
it on
yeah,
the,
yeah,
You know?
Hot topics.
right. I mean, the biggest we ever had was school,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
So although the last 2 have been pretty big.
Well,
But nothing, like it was over 500, I think, Don, that time, we were in the gym.
I was in the overflow.
I think I looked at the first school vote, I think the attendance was 962. I remember that, she had it in attendance, and that's.
We had to set up the
filled
speaker
church.
system, the whole bit.
Yeah.
No, I mean, not this church one, we went to the gymnasium, yeah. Okay, so your list here,
What?
The church one too, we were out in the hallway,
Yeah.
we had people in rooms.
Yep.
It was crazy.
Well, that's good, it's nice to have a lot of people go.
Yeah.
So we'll look into, we'll proceed to look into electronic voting and the childcare. Okay?
Yep.
I got,
Okay,
this, here's, I wanna give you we'll do this here. This is the government study committee proposals, the warrant articles. And Rose thought, the government study committee, there's 2, the general bylaws and the zoning bylaws. And she thought it's best to put them in one package for 2/3 vote, because she said if one passes and the other doesn't, then you would change your general bylaws to say select board.
Oh, but the other one.
The other one was to
Right,
say
yeah.
selectmen, so she thought it better, it'd be better that if they both went under the one for the 2/3 vote, and then you would, you know, cause theoretically, the zoning one could not pass, but
right,
the other one could pass by one vote,
right.
cause it only needs majority.
Yeah.
So,
I thought there was a effective date for the, government, the appointed, elected to appointed.
no, well,
Motion.
those have to go to,
Legislator?
no, those have to go to general election, annual election.
We can vote on them at town
And
meeting.
then
If they vote
when-
on a town meeting, then they have to go to annual election.
So the ballot question will have an actual effective date? What would be the effective date at the end of the current? No, it's not a current term, it's, yeah, at the end
Be in the
of
current term, yes.
Mhm.
what's gonna happen if it goes next annual election will be that those terms are gonna be on the ballot. And the law says that if the position is on the ballot at the same time it's approved to make it appointed, that whoever wins that election serves until the board makes their appointment of that position.
So the board could not make an appointment for 3 years.
Right.
And then-
Otherwise, let's say it was 2 years remaining on the term, then the term, that elected
2
official
years.
would, yeah,
Right, right.
fill out the remainder of their term.
And the other one's the battery storage moratorium thing.
Now, is that effective the date of the town meeting or the date of the review from the AG?
That's effective the day of the town meeting, but the AG has to approve it.
And
But-
then it's back effective
But
basically?
but that takes 90 days.
Right.
So there'd still be a period of time they could put something into effect.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, you were effective immediately at town vote.
yeah. Right, right. And then we gotta set the revolving account for the EV charger, you asked about.
Formalize it basically. We did one and now we need to formalize it. Actually,
No, we didn't do it.
we did. No, we did the revolving fund at our meeting. And it was after the town meeting. So the
Now we
next
have to
town meeting,
formalize
we have to put it in, so we actually don't need to do it here.
Right.
Because we typically only do revolving funds at the annual. Right,
National Grid.
that's pretty minor.
That's town, okay, board of Selectmen. Water district expansion, phase 2.
Think we're gonna be ready, or? I know there's a lot of,
Well, we have,
delays right now.
well, the state is, the funding is a big delay. They're coming tomorrow to do the survey for the plans.
Mhm.
And that'd be the last part of that puzzle. So now it's just the state.
So worst case, a motion or an explanation, one or the other. Either it's gonna be a discussion or an actual motion, one or the other, you want a placeholder.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Even though we have maybe other options to start the project.
We can still start the project now.
Yeah, right.
With the pump house.
Phase A,
Well,
yeah.
as soon as they approve it.
Right.
the,
Yeah.
Plans.
And then we have the grant possibility coming in
Right.
what, September, October-ish. Well, we'll at least know if we're getting additional funds.
Okay.
Right, what else we got here? Water, budget adjustments at employee benefits, police incentive. 75 hours. And employee benefits is how much so far? You figure?
The estimated,
Yeah.
is it 85? Based on actual health insurance enrollment numbers.
Rick and Dundee Bridge,
Mark had come in and talked to me a while back. And this is what the update meeting, or the status update meeting is
Basically,
coming up, right?
September 4th, I think is the meeting, yeah. So,
According to MassDOT, there's not a street layout or a layout of the bridge. So they need that finalized. The town needs to show that it has
yeah, no, we already paid for
actual
the
control
survey,
over it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there may be some easements that the town needs to formalize.
okay, reduce the tax rates, we'll see what happens there with free cash and everything, Board of Selectmen, Select Board.
Well, you skipped 9, 10, and 11.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, what about that? Senior center renovation,
Yeah.
they're gonna have
What's
something,
what's HM, what's fire say HM?
Hazmat.
Oh,
Yeah,
hazmat,
hazmat
okay.
material.
that's different than,
That's asbestos floor tiles.
Yeah.
That are breaking.
oh. They got any estimate on that, no?
It's, I think there's a few different estimates, but right around 10,000.
Okay, it's not unreasonable. Boris, okay, reduce the tax rate, transfers,
Order transfers.
order transfer,
Do you transfer free cash to,
oh.
you doing
Oh, at
transfers?
the end. Oh, that's
Yeah.
reduce the tax rate, basically,
Yeah, yeah,
stabilization.
Or the stabilization, whatever, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen, Select Board, the
Yeah.
battery storage moratorium, Memorial Park scoreboards,
Is that CPA?
Possible CPA application, yeah.
electronic voting system, we
Yeah.
just talked about that. Fire placeholder,
Is that the
Times
money,
three.
is that the money for the,
That's all I know.
generator money?
Nope,
Oh, it's not?
No, I got an email that said, please have 3 placeholders for fire.
Oh, maybe they're
Period.
getting close to the, we should get a report from the building committee. Maybe
don't have-
invite them in.
I don't think we haven't met in a month now, and the only thing we've talked about at the time was the hazmat abatement.
Right, but we've issued the RFP out, right? Cause I mean, we appropriated money for that RFP,
Yeah.
so that's gonna
Right.
be,
For the,
they must be working on that.
$50,000.
Yeah, you only had one vendor,
Right, it
you
was,
gave them the order, so they must be doing something with that, right?
yeah, I haven't heard anything, so.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
3 of them?
that's what I said, and I was promised a follow-up email, but I haven't got it yet.
Okay.
Maybe
Well,
one was the
just-
hazmat.
It might be the.
One of them might be the hazmat, yeah, I don't know if the other two are.
Well, it's
And
preliminary
then
anyhow.
been moved to Thornton Burgess, but we won't know anything until we get the assessment, we can make a deal with them.
They don't need to do another, age thing for
Is the,
the senior firefighter, right?
not that I've heard,
Does that need to go yearly, or is that a,
yeah.
is that a one-time deal?
I think only the age 70.
It's a one-time deal to 70.
Don, does the lease need to be voted at town meeting if there's a change to the lease?
No, I don't think, no.
I think that was our authorization.
Okay.
The selectmen's authorization.
Right.
No, it was brought up at the, we're done with that, fall town meeting?
Yep.
Okay, previously voted at the town meeting, citizens petition to look into purchasing the land where the alleged self-storage is going.
So we still, we didn't, we might have motioned at that meeting, we wouldn't talk about it, we still have potential litigation going on. Is there still, is that reconsideration thing still a real thing? I don't know how much we can really say in public, but we're aware of a potential reconsideration request.
My understanding is that it would be unusual for it to have
But it is
gone
a
on this long.
thing, as far as you're aware, you've been notified the potential of it.
It's a valid motion to make, it's for reconsideration, but, I mean, there's been a good deal of time that's gone by, and we like our cases to be settled, so. I would be surprised. I don't know that precludes it wouldn't preclude a similar application for that same property. Right?
No, I just get back into, we said we weren't taking action on the system because we had active litigation. I
Right.
wonder if this is, until we really hear that they're dismissing that reconsideration, should we just? I don't wanna cloud the thing.
Okay.
I'd like to get some opinion from our lawyer that we're free and clear and like everything is gone at this point.
Is there any word, have they gone to the planning board on Penny Peck's, or was that on hold too?
Yeah, wasn't she looking to buy a sliver?
Wasn't she looking to buy an
I heard
acre?
that dropped, yeah.
Yeah,
I know, they were out there surveying it, they
Yeah,
surveyed
but then
it, but
it fell away.
I heard they were no longer interested in selling the land. It was on the agenda twice, it was canceled once, and then it was on a second time, and it was asked to be removed.
You know, speaking of planning, I don't know that Kibbe Lane is truly not an option for the fall, but I'll have an answer after the planning board meeting. So that may be a town meeting thing,
just to accept it.
to accept the Kibbe Lane part, which is only phase A, right? There's some issues going on with phase B, but that should not affect.
As far as the citizens petition, do we just wanna see if Brian can reach out to our attorney to see if it's an appropriate time to look at that petition?
Well, that's what I was just saying,
Yeah.
that, I mean, I'd like an opinion from our attorney that all legal things are done and now it's up to the board is free and clear to.
Right, well, we kinda skipped over that real quick, so I wanna make sure that we were clear on it.
Well, I want to get back to, I mean, just, we were talking planning, so I'll make sure there possibly is another thing for the town meeting. But back to what I was saying, that, yeah, I'd like to know that we are not running afoul of any legal things right now before we talk about that, which is our same position we took
You
before,
check with
basically.
the town attorney on that?
Yep.
Or, I don't know, or with Jesse, I guess would be the one, right?
Basically, yeah, representing both.
Okay, shared energy manager.
So this would be funded through energy efficiency conservation block grant. That's money being passed through the state to municipalities. And we tried to kick around some of my project ideas. It's pretty much clean energy planning or building envelope improvement. My original thought was to try to find something at TWB that could be low hanging fruit and that could be something we could do, but it just seems a little bit premature for that. So then I got an email from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. They were trying to put together the shared energy manager position. The job description's in here, but it's really just to assist municipalities in trying to pursue those goals. So energy conservation and
So different than aggregation, so we kicked on an aggregation a while back, and that's nothing to do with that.
right, this is just a staff person that would navigate us through the utility incentives and things like that and
My
find out
only
what the best way to do
question
it
or
is.
concern is it turns into the shared health services where they didn't factor in the salary of the people when they came to us and it went over and above the grant and then we were on the hook.
All of a sudden, we have a bill.
Yeah. That's something that we could make sure is in, I haven't seen an agreement yet.
Okay.
But if we apply for, if we apply for the money and we don't like the agreement, we can always just say no thanks, but it'll at least give us, some resources internally that doesn't cost us anything to go through that process, cause I think there's gonna be a lot of improvements that could be made, at least at TWB.
So, it says the annual cost is $290,000, right? $185,000. That would cost them.
Year two coffee.
I don't know if I have that sheet in here.
Some-
What number was it?
I assume it's not that, that must be the total of 2 years, I mean, he doesn't jump up
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that,
it's
yeah,
total of 2 years, right, I agree with you. But is each municipality paying 45,000 a year?
That's what the grant will cover.
That's what the grant would cover.
Yep. So the maximum grant amount for this position, clean energy planning, is 45,000
Per town,
per town.
that
So-
the state would pay.
Yep.
Alright.
So their idea based on at this point, they would be looking to hire 2 energy managers that would be shared amongst whatever the final list of participating towns is.
So I'm looking at Granby, and everybody seems to be like 45,000, Ludlow's a little bit more, cause they're the lead, right?
Yep.
So you're thinking we would be in the 45,000, probably 45,000, it's like it was.
Yeah.
And he would do what, or she?
Whoever it is. So they'll look to take directions from us and they'll work on the projects that we want them to do related to energy conservation,
Okay, so
building
we
envelope
could-
improvements.
So we could say, could you take a look at Thornton Burgess and see what we can do there to save energy? Can you look at the, I don't know, the fire station
Yep.
here?
Yeah, and they could work with I mean, the way it is right now, we have all of these energy professionals that we get a couple emails a week from different companies that want to come in and look at our lighting and look at all this other stuff, and they obviously want to make money off of it.
Yeah.
So we can have those emails can go to that person. They can vet these people, figure out what makes most sense for us, represent our interests, and then we can move forward that way.
I think answering Craig's concern would be the main thing, that there's no additional application, but for free, there's no harm.
Yeah, right.
What I saw was the status of year 2, maybe yes, maybe probably. What does that mean? Is that they're signed on for 2 years? They're not sure the status? They're gonna do it for 1 year, but they're not sure about year 2?
Oh no, that's just the status of whether they're going to participate at all in the project.
Because it was under year 2 column, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
so that's the annual cost and the 2-year cost.
So right now, Belchertown, Chester, East Hampton, Granby, Ludlow, Palmer, Plainfield,
Long Meadow.
South Delaware, and Long Meadow are
Sure.
in, right?
Yep.
You wanna vote it now or wait for Brian to come back with a yes, no on the, in fact, there's no. Okay, I'll make a motion to engage in this program with the understanding that there will be no additional expense to the town other than what the grant covers.
All in favor?
And just to clarify, right now, all we're doing is authorizing the submission of the grant.
Right.
So then there'll be a grant contract and then a contract for the shared energy manager. And if we don't like it, then we just say no thanks.
Somewhere along the way.
And you're
Yeah.
signing this, right? You're chief executive.
The board of selectmen is the chief executive.
Oh, no, but Brian's saying he's obligated to pay, not us.
Let's just delegate them real quick,
Yeah, see?
or the delegate.
So I'm putting my name in here where it says I am authorized,
Yeah.
on behalf of.
Chair Davenport.
I had a different sheet that might have been in that.
That's the same one I got.
There you go, I inserted the 3-4 names if you just wanna sign.
I see.
Each of you can sign there if you want.
So you got all our neighbors on here.
Yeah.
We're all liable now.
Signature of chief executive.
Red?
Is it Inkwell?
Yeah.
Where's the quill
Is that a
pen?
feather over there?
Okay.
Uh,
While Don is signing, I do have a few more liquor requests for the seniors.
I guess we're all gonna sign this.
Yeah. The request for a dinner dance on September 28th, an annual retirement planning seminar on October 16th, and on a Thursday, October 24th, the Scannick River Artisans Interactive Program. Wine only on that day. But beer and wine on the other 2 days.
No beer.
5 to 10, but they never last that time.
Were we
Don't
talking
worry.
about, see if we could issue them a rolling liquor permit?
We are looking into that. It's a question for ABCC.
Okay.
Yeah. The limit, however, is 28, and they're nowhere near it. You can only have 28 one-day permits for one place during a year.
They're not,
Nowhere near it.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a limit, huh?
I was shocked myself.
We'll just have to
Jane,
go to-
however, filled me in.
We'll just have to go to a different location.
She would know about that.
Yep.
Alcohol license.
So I appreciate it. Motion to approve those three
Move to
dates.
approve those 3 dates as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
So are we going to,
Is
do
that it?
you wanna put that on the agenda considering the change of date, change of time for next? And I don't know if you wanna bounce it off the town moderator, the moderator advisory. Yeah. Okay.
What is this? Oh, this is it? This is the.
Those are them, yep.
What else we got? We got,
I have no report.
you have no report? You have a report?
I have nothing to report.
I have to
Right.
report that the master plan committee, is having what they call an economic forum
Roundtable.
on the 21st of August. They've been to almost all the businesses in town, and gave them a little handout telling them about it, inviting them. And we're hoping for a good turnout, so it's part of the master plan, one of the categories they got. And, they've been working hard on it, the consultant's been very, I have to say.
Did they reach out to anybody with home occupations?
Yes, they did, they got all the lists of home occupations. They got you, they already called me, they reported, they saw you.
Yeah, only because I had to ask.
I actually have a permitted home occupation too, and I got no,
You do?
my wife is an esthetician, yeah.
Oh, I'll have to check with their list, how they're doing on their
I
list.
think when I was talking to Connie, she got all the DBAs in town.
Okay.
Oh,
But I'm not a DBA because I'm LLC.
Right.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll double check on that tomorrow then. What else we got? Town administrators report?
Oh, just a quick, so Wednesday, there was a planning meeting, and one of the
Oh, yes.
public hearings is the bylaw changes for select board.
That was 2-week notice on that then too?
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that.
Right.
John had mentioned the Time Bond's gonna do the botany study of the climbing fern tomorrow. So that hopefully once that's wrapped up, we can get our NHESP permit, and then Conscom can finish with their order conditions and issue that. I think that's the last permit that is needed for that project to go forward.
And then the pump house and.
phase
Yeah.
one.
So, I mean, the pump house stuff, is that all out to bid or, you can't even bid it yet? Oh,
According to Town of Hampden, I think I had to do this phase first,
Yes.
to make sure nothing could change the plan.
wow.
Yep. A fire department generator saga continues. We had some discussions between myself, Gary Courtney, Chief Poland, and the highway superintendent, and we think that it will be considerably less expensive if it's done in-house. So that's the path that we're gonna go forward with, if the board's okay with that. We still need to find a funding source, but we're all asking them to pull together a budget of what he thinks it will take. I did get a good background on the Mill Pond situation. Gary Weiner filled me in on the history there and how it's all connected and what the issues are there. So at some point, if we want to have a discussion about that, what next steps are, I think that's really what needs to happen there. I know at some point if dredging is a possibility, and I know at some point there was inland dredging funding available. The past couple of years, I don't know if that's still available, but if that's the route we want to take, then that's something we can look into. I need to follow up with Attorney August about the cable license. We need to get that moving forward. EV chargers are waiting on National Grid to install the transformer on site. And then get those trees planted with hopefully some other plants that make it look nice.
And then if we could circle around or survey different areas and take a look and see what
Yeah,
typical charging is gonna be, we need to set up a fee structure.
yeah, we need to have the fee structure for that. And as I'd mentioned before, the new housing bill that was passed is gonna have, it preempts probably most of the accessory dwelling units that our zoning bylaw allows in town. So the planning board's gonna need to look at that and see the best path forward, because it really has that similar language to solar, right? It talks about not unreasonably regulating what they consider ADUs, accessory dwelling units, which they define as 900 square feet or less,
It was under 900.
or half the GFA of the principal dwelling. So
Do you know if they still have the part where the owner doesn't have to live there?
that is preempted. So the state statute preempts that.
Right, so the owner
Local
doesn't have to live
requirement.
there, so someone could buy
So
a
it
house.
supersedes our bylaws?
Yep.
So a person could buy a house, rent the house, build a 900 square foot thing next to it and rent that too.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's gonna.
State imposing more rules on it.
I think it's gonna be a disaster in college towns, to be honest with you,
Yeah,
because I think that was a saving grace for a lot of the communities that have colleges in them, where if you have an owner occupied properties typically are more well kept,
Yeah, well,
and
at least
the
there's separate
environment's
requirements
a little bit
allow
more
us to
subdued.
impose some requirements.
So now the apartments, let's pick on Amherst for a second. They're just gonna become student housing and student housing on the same lot, where
how is that gonna affect the septic systems?
that's gonna be the limiting factor, I
Right, that's
think,
what helps us,
Yeah, that's what
right.
it does.
because you can't add bedrooms, so. Well, if you wanna add bedrooms, you have to
You
go
have to change it.
change it.
What
Joanne
if they have
came
a
to me
composable
today and
toilet?
asked if we could, building, planning, assessors, Board of Health, if we could all meet and start discussing this and hashing out, how does it look for each one of us? And how do we all work together and make it happen?
We'll meet on August 22nd with the Hampden Wilbraham Regional School District and discuss the lease. And then our next meeting after that will be the 26th. Alright?
Yep.
Anything further to come before the board?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, you did the first one.
Alright.